Welcome to the Think Small podcast, hypergrowth for small businesses. So, what's slowing you down?
Well, welcome to the Think Small podcast, the podcast where we sit down with leaders who are doing the real work of building businesses, building communities, and building the kind of economic environments where small business companies can actually grow. I'm your host, Denise Steinbring, and I'm genuinely excited about today's conversation. So Washington, D.C. is one of the most extraordinary business cities in the world. It is also right now one of the most complicated. Federal workforce changes, budget pressures, commercial real estate in transition, and a small business community that's navigating all of it in real time. My guest today is the person who sits at the center of that community and works every single day to make sure that the voice of DC's businesses is heard in City Hall, in Congress, and in every room that matters. Chinyere Hubbard is the president and CEO of the DC Chamber of Commerce. She's a native Washingtonian, I got that out right, a strategic communications and marketing leader by background, and she's spent her career at the intersection of business, government, and community in one of the most complex markets in America. Chinyere, welcome to the Think Small podcast. It's great to have you here.
Great. Thank you, Denise. Delighted to be here.
Yes. So before we get into what's happening in DC right now, I want to understand the journey a little bit more. So you are a native of Washington, D.C., right?
That's correct. I am born and reared right here in Washington, D.C. Native
Awesome.
Washingtonian. I grew up in Northwest D.C., attended D.C. public schools, graduate of Howard University. But I did do an exchange program in my junior year in New York at Columbia University.
Oh, awesome. And so you've watched the city through multiple economic cycles, multiple administrations, multiple reinventions, and you've spent over a decade at Events DC, where you were at the Greater Washington Partnership. And then in January 2025, you stepped into the CEO role at the Chamber.
Yes.
What drew you to this particular moment and this particular role?
Yeah, well, my passion and interest in joining the chamber really stems from an understanding that businesses are more than just economic engines, but they're also the heartbeat of our communities. Growing up in Washington, D.C., I've been a part of the business ecosystem. I worked at Greater Washington Partnership for a little over 2 years as the chief marketing officer, which was a regional alliance of corporate CEOs focused on economic competitiveness from Baltimore to Richmond. And in three, it focused on three different pillars. I was regional mobility, inclusive economic growth, and skills and talent, workforce development. Before that, at Events DC, which is the Convention and Sports Authority for Washington, D.C., and worked on major economic development projects, including the Marriott Marquis Hotel, what is now the Care First Entertainment Sports Arena in Ward 8, and many other, Nats Ballpark, and many other development projects across the city. And so I have two sons, one who is a business owner. My father has owned a small business, many family members who have small businesses. And so having witnessed challenges and success stories of our business landscape, I was really energized for a chance to work with our members, our board, our elected officials, our mayor, to ensure that the DC Chamber is a trusted resource to support our business community and that it remains in a position for continued growth, innovation, and advocacy.
Awesome. Well, that's a great background. What does it feel like to lead the business community of your own city where you grew up? Does that change how you show up for it?
That's a really great question because this is a city that has shaped me. And so for me, as probably the only native Washingtonian who has run the chamber, I, show up. I think my predecessors also showed up with the same passion and vigor as I do. But there's something special about running a chamber and where many of these business owners you've known for many years, many of your board members you've known for many years. This is, again, a city that has shaped me and that has really molded me in the person I am. So I come with extreme passion and determination to ensure that we are a city that survives and that these businesses survive and thrive, particularly during these dynamic times.
Yeah. So let's learn a little bit more about the DC Chamber and the current landscape. For our listeners who may not be in the DC area or know who the Chamber is as a name, but don't really fully understand what it does day to day, give us a quick picture. When a
Sure.
small business owner in DC needs the chamber, what does it actually look like in practice?
Yeah, the DC Chamber's been around almost 88 years. We are the leading voice and advocate for businesses in Washington, D.C. We represent nearly 1,000 businesses, small, medium, and large, across various sectors: financial services, legal, professional services, healthcare, technology. And our mission is to be the most valuable resource and leading advocate for businesses in the District of Columbia. We are really here to make sure that we create a vibrant and thriving economy that sustains a high quality of life. And we do this through our public and private partnerships. So that we know the business community is the lifeblood of our city, and DC is unique, and our business community reflects that diversity. So when a member joins the chamber, they're able to join several committees that we have. We have a workforce and education committee. We have a healthcare committee. We have a government affairs and policy committee. We have a technology committee. And so when you join, you have access to council members, you have access to larger corporations, you have access to finding out tools and resources on how financial preparedness and how to get access to capital in your business. You have access to more than 75 events a year that we execute and put on, from small convenings to webinars to a large gala that we last year had. It was a sold out gala, and then even an annual meeting at really dynamic speakers to come and to have a chance to be up close and personal with our members.
Yeah, I think maybe for small business owners, they might wonder, what's my role in navigating policy or advocacy? Like that's a government thing, right? But
Mhm.
but they really need to think about this from I need a workforce, I need talent, I need childcare for my workers, I need, all of these things. So make the case for, why a small business owner who may shy away from politics, or especially in DC, or or policy or advocacy, what are the other reasons for them to join the chamber other than what you just mentioned?
Yeah, because every business has different needs. Larger businesses are really focused on advocacy. The smaller businesses really want to get access to capital, find out how they can apply for grants, and how they can prepare financially, how they can scale their business, how they can get talent, obtain talent. Workforce is a huge priority for a lot of our businesses. And then the public-private partnerships, how can they partner with larger corporations? And so every new event, every workshop, every partnership that we've added in our last year came directly from what our members have told us. Whether it's AI readiness, we know AI is the future.
Of
And
course.
so a lot of small business owners do not have the capacity to take on AI or the training, but we
Hmm.
make sure that they have resources and that are free and accessible for them to learn how to use AI in their workplace. Procurement access, cybersecurity fundamentals, capital pathways. So in one year, we really made choices where we consolidated some of our duplicative events to make sure that we focused on small businesses and that they have the capacity.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think sometimes small businesses feel like, gosh, this is hard and I'm doing it all myself, right? When the partnerships are really a strategy for some
Exactly.
small businesses, right? And I think the chamber is a great place to go start building some of those relationships.
Exactly. And we pride ourselves on being that convener and being on that connector. We partner with universities, with agencies, with federal contractors and corporate members so that the chamber can function as really a platform and to support these small businesses.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get into what you've actually been navigating, because when you stepped into this role in January of 2025 and the ink was barely dry before the DC business community was dealing with federal workforce reductions, commercial real estate headwinds, tariffs, and a city budget under real pressure. Most chamber leaders that I've spoken to spend their first year sort of learning the organization, but you spent yours managing a series of disruptions that you didn't cause and couldn't control. So here's my question. Tell me about a specific moment, maybe in the last 16 months, where you took one of those disruptions and turned it into a genuine opportunity for the businesses that you serve. Not a silver lining, a real actual move that made a difference. What did that look like?
Yeah, I like to say that, sometimes chaos brings opportunity and creativity. And so that's what we had to do. We had to pivot, we had to stay nimble and be agile because, as you just rattled off, that was quite a bit of headwinds that I faced, that we all faced last. Who knew I came in this role into February 25 that to be faced with economy.
Mhm.
And so when we lost over 3,000 jobs, it really hit DC hard because we are the seat of the federal. But we made a choice. That became kind of a moment of a catalyst for something we've been building anyway, looking at how can we capitalize on all of the talent that we have here in DC and in this region. And we want to make sure that those federal government workers do not leave the city and that they stay. So we looked at an employer-led workforce pipeline with real infrastructure behind it. And we partnered with Greater Washington Partnership and the Council of County Governments and Build Within and the Board of Trade to ensure that there was some matchmaking for these workers who were here in the city and that the employers here in the city could find that talent. And so that required some upskilling, some reskilling. And we also convened major employers. And I'm sorry, and that was called Talent Capital AI. It was a platform that was created. So we supported that with our other partners. Council of County Governments, they were really the brains behind it and Build Within. We also found ways to convene major employers and government leaders and universities and training partners to stand up a workforce development committee and our first ever Future Ready Forum. And so we had university presidents, we had partners and leaders from large corporations to really talk about what those talent strategies and that talent pipeline was. So that was one area we found an opportunity amidst what was happening with the federal government work shifts. We also hosted our largest gala ever in the history of in the last probably 10 years. And despite there were cutbacks and a lot of economic uncertainty, we found ways to become very creative with our sponsorships. And so we split tables, we tailored sponsorship packages for a lot of our corporations, and we were able to sell out our gala last year. And then at the same time, we brought on a new government affairs to sharpen our advocacy and deepen the value that we deliver to members, large and small. We hosted 2 advocacy days a year, and so that investment and our credibility really strengthened at the Wilson Building, which is the John A. Wilson Building where the council members are, and really positioned us as a stabilizing presence during these challenging economic times. And it gave a lot of our major sponsors and what we call our circle partners something tangible that they felt like that their chamber membership was valuable.
Those are all great initiatives. I guess for a small business owner listening right now, sometimes people get paralyzed in times of, economic uncertainty. What advice would you have for them to deal with disruption when it's something they didn't anticipate, or to keep that forward momentum? Sometimes they shut down investments, and it sounds like you actually increased investments and increased partnerships and sponsorships all during times of economic uncertainty. So what's the case for that?
We did. And while what we found that many who may have been who lost their job in the federal government downsizing, or maybe lost their whatever the situation was when they lost their position, many started up a new business. And we found that our small business and entrepreneurial ecosystem grew. And I will tell you, there's no better place to be as an entrepreneur than in DC. We really have a strong entrepreneurial system, and so many government agencies, our mayor, who is extremely supportive and a huge champion for small businesses and the entrepreneurial ecosystem. And so I would encourage small business owners or anyone thinking about a small business, because our small business new membership grew actually in the last year. We host an annual small business summit, and it is going to take place on Monday, May 11th at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. And for business owners, you can gain access to programming focused on the trends and tools that define today's business landscape. including sessions on AI innovation, access to capital, and strategies for small business growth. We'll hear from the mayor. We'll hear from council members at large. We'll hear from Mayor Bowser. We'll hear from council member at large Donnie Crawford. We'll hear from Chairman Mendelson. And we'll hear from senior leaders from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Federal Reserve Board of Richmond. So it's an opportunity for businesses, small businesses, to learn how to scale their business, how to grow their business. We'll have several representatives from the government agencies, from the Department of Small and Local Business. We're also honoring small businesses as well, who are champions and really made an impact around the city. And it is, if I didn't mention, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's an all-day event.
And do you have to be a chamber member to attend?
You do not. It is free. It's a free event and anyone can attend. The luncheon where we are, which is a signature highlight of the day, which celebrates our outstanding entrepreneurs and local businesses, there is a cost for that. And that is $150 for non-members and $200 for $200 for non-members, $150 for members. Okay. But the entire summit and showcase is free for anyone to attend. And I will say that this year's summit features an expanded makers market, which has local businesses where you can shop local, discover new products, and engage with our small business community.
That's wonderful. Is there a website people can go to learn, sign up?
Absolutely. Yes, it is www, I don't have to say that anymore, dcchamber.org.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. Let's turn to something else. You know, DC is a very interesting business environment in the country, right? You're not a state, which means that the relationship between local government, federal policy, and the business community works a little bit differently there than anywhere else in America. How do you feel like that uniqueness shapes what small businesses need from an organization like yours? And what levers does the DC government actually have to support them that most business owners might not know about? We've talked through some of those, but is there something else?
Yeah, well, we are unique in that we are not a state. And and for businesses who want to start a business here or grow businesses, for particularly smaller businesses, what they may not realize are all the resources that are available from our DC government agencies, from the Department of Licensing, from Consumer Licensing, from the Department of Employment Services, from the Department of Insurance Securities Business, DISB, and as I mentioned before, from the Department of Small and Local Business. There is a vitality fund that the mayor has rolled out over the last couple of weeks, where businesses who qualify can obtain grants to start their business and grow their business. So Washington, D.C. has so many assets. While we are at we have been felt like we've had this target on our back over the last year with the federal workforce cuts that hit DC harder probably than any of our peer regions. There are so many assets that business owners can take advantage of with, as I mentioned before, the strong talent workforce, with our diversity, with the culture, with the free museums, with our beautiful neighborhoods. So DC, to me, is the best place to build and work and grow your business.
Yeah, well, if you're a small business owner for another location, sounds like D's a place to check out.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so let me ask you a little bit about the growth agenda inside the chamber itself, because you've gone from the roughly 50 events a year to a target of 100 or more, right?
Yes, we have.
You brought in 176 new memberships in your first year, and you're hosting the summit next week with workshops covering AI, M&A, procurement, cybersecurity, all the things we talked about, which serious set of topics for a small business audience. But you're also the primary resource for small businesses navigating one of the hardest economic environments. So here's the question that every founder in our audience is going to immediately recognize. How do you grow what you do without diluting what makes it worth growing? And what have you had to stop doing or consciously decide not to do in order to make that growth possible?
Yeah, so what we've had to do, when you
it's a
every new event
decision, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we really have to listen before we build. Again, as I mentioned, all of our events, our workshops really were reimagined by what we heard from our members. And it really looked at where we needed to sunset certain programs and consolidate certain events, redirect our human capital, and look at high demand areas like technical assistance and how to navigate policy in these challenging times. So that's where we were looking. We focused on where we could have the capacity to grow, and we scaled by building smarter, not just bigger. We partnered again with our universities, with our government agencies, with federal contractors, with corporate chamber members. And so we've really been able to stay connected to the expertise that our members actually need and want.
Great. Thank you for that. On this journey, what is one thing that you tried that didn't work out? And what did you learn?
The journey here at the chamber, or just a career journey?
Yes, this last year.
That did not work out.
Yes.
Well, I would, so far everything has, we've tried new programming, and it has all worked because we really step into, and at least I step into as a leader, I assess and I look at where there are gaps, again, listening to our members, where they find value, what their needs are, and try to meet them where they are. So all new programming that we created, we did an angel investor workshop convening last year, and that was a success. We stepped out, kind of took a risk. It was a new program, and we had angel investors come. We had new entrepreneurs and people who wanted to start a new business, learn more about angel investing. So, and that was a success that we're going to do it again. So we have really been able to, every new program that we have launched, every event, we have just elevated each event. We have brought on new speakers. We've kind of thought outside the box, and it's really been a huge success. So nothing that we did over the last year would probably, I would say, we would have done different. We're very strategic in all of our programming, and it shows by the 189 new members we brought in and over 75 new events last year.
Yeah, that's great. And I think the key word that I've heard you say over and over again is listening.
Yes.
Right. I think
so important.
It sounds like that you do that extremely well, right? And then you have to make your prioritization decisions based on, what the majority is needing in order to make your businesses grow.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're in the last stretch of our conversation, and I want to end where I always want to end, with something that our listeners can actually carry with them and implement on Monday morning. You've now been front row for DC's business community through a pandemic recovery, the workforce disruption we talked about, and a downtown that's still finding its footing a little bit. And you've watched hundreds of your small businesses navigate conditions that nobody really trained them for. So our audience here is full of founders and operators who are navigating their own version of uncertainty. Supply chains they can't control, markets shifting under their feet, technology and AI, as you mentioned, changing faster. And most of them are doing it without the network, the resources, or the visibility that you have access to from where you sit. So what is the one thing, the insight that you have watched separate the businesses that survive disruption from the ones that don't, that you would tell a small business owner today?
Yeah, I would say stay nimble and make sure that you're cultivating relationships across various sectors. Don't stay curious about other opportunities. I would also stay anchored in your purpose. While there are shifts changing, economic shifts, philosophical shifts, and changes, just stay rooted and grounded in your purpose and your mission. Every founder that I know, that I've met, that I come across with, they really weather disruption well, and some have had some challenges, but they have a clear sense of what they're building and why they're building. And so that clarity, I think, keeps people from getting caught into the chaos and uncertainty. And then listen harder. We both mentioned, you mentioned listening, that when it gets a little too noisy, and in moments of these uncertainties, your clients, your employees, your employers, your partners will really provide clarity on where those real opportunities are. And making sure you flex your muscles, build the muscle you need to navigate, whether it's AI, whether it's on market swings that you didn't see coming. So just make sure I believe the leaders who endure are the ones who continue to stay curious and staying flexible. and stay connected to the ecosystem.
Yeah,
And
I think that's great advice. Is there a particular company, you don't have to name them, right? But maybe the industry that they're in that you feel like did this really well?
technology, the technology industry, we have several tech companies who I believe have stayed nimble and agile with the times and have been able to make these strategic pivots and change their business model or adjust their business model uh, to survive during these times. But I will say there have been several tech companies and healthcare companies because they've also faced a lot of uncertainties, but they've been
Absolutely.
able to stay nimble and ensure that they are, staying close to their stakeholders.
Yeah. Well, Chinyere, this has been exactly the kind of conversation I hoped it would be: honest, practical, and genuinely useful for anyone trying to build something right now. Um, and to the Think Small listeners, if this episode gives you something to think about, something to try, or just a reminder that the challenges that you are navigating are shared by leaders at every level, share it with somebody who needs to hear it. I really appreciate the time that you gave us, Chinyere. Everybody, if you're in the DC area, sign up to go to the Small Business Summit and Expo. Sounds like an amazing event. And we look forward to talking to you at some point in the future. Thanks so
Thank
much for
you.
your time.
Thank you very much, Denise. I enjoyed the conversation. And if you're not a member of the chamber, join the DC Chamber, dcchamber.org.
Awesome. Thank you, Chinyere.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we're going to cut it there. Did we get
Okay.
to everything that you wanted
Oh,
to talk
yeah,
about?
you did. And then some. Wow.
Okay.
So I was like trying to, I've been in budget oversight hearings, so I was trying to make sure I was concise with my answers. So I hope so that,
Yeah.
it wasn't I wasn't rambling too much.
No, not at all. I think that was
Okay,
really helpful. So
great.
hopefully
That
that
was
gives
great.
you a good little promo piece for the
Yes,
summit.
it does. It was
How,
great. I appreciate it. Thank you
how
so
many people
much.
are you expecting?
We're expecting about 1,000.
Oh, that'll be
It's a
fun.
very large, summit. And then we do the awards luncheon, and we have about 300 people attending.
Yeah. And I do believe that Paolo from Think Small is going to be there, so he will be on point.
Oh,
Because
great.
we'd also like to extend an opportunity to come on the podcast if you were a winner of one of those small business awards.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yes.
Can we promote that? How does that
Let
work?
Yeah, well, let me check with him.
Okay.
I think it would probably be a reach out like after the winners are
Oh,
announced,
after the win. Okay. All right.
you
Because we have
know,
several winners. That's a wonderful opportunity.
yeah, so it's just a little give back, right? And something for them to get the word out about their small business. So
Yeah.
we're getting so busy right now that the next thought is we want to start doing things more hyper local. So there may
Hmm.
become a time where there's a Think Small DC or there's a Think Small Minneapolis where I am, or whatever it is
Okay.
where
I was
we're
going to ask you where you're based. Okay.
yeah, where we're
Wonderful.
actually getting small business together in their local communities so that they can make those connections that are so critically
So
important.
critical. That's wonderful. Oh,
Yeah.
great. Great.
So he will
Wonderful.
probably seek you out because I know he's going in person. So
Okay. Good. Oh, I look forward to it. Okay.
yeah,
Thank you so much. Wonderful
you're welcome.
conversation.
Yes, I will send you the link by Friday, and then
Okay.
it'll be out on Apple Podcasts. They're putting you at the front of the queue due to the timing of the
Oh,
Small
wow.
Business
Okay.
Summit.
And it's not,
So
it's cut down, correct? Or is
yeah,
it the whole thing raw? Okay.
yeah, no, they will make some edits to make
And
it.
cut my best make me sound.
Yes. And all my shuffling of papers.
Yeah, I couldn't hear that. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank
Okay.
you so much, G.
I've
All right.
enjoyed
Take
the
care.
conversation. Have a
I
good
did
rest of the
too. Have a good
week.
one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Think Small podcast, Hypergrowth for Small Businesses. So, what's slowing you down?